Welcome to this lesson, and in this lesson we are going to be studying about enums in Java. Enums. An enum is a special class that represents a group of constants that do not change. Their values are therefore final, and they cannot be changed at any point of your program. To create an enum, use the enum keyword instead of keyword class or interface, for instance, and separate the constants with a comma. Note that they should be in uppercase letters. You can access enum constants with the dot syntax. We are going to find out shortly how we can be able to create enum variables, enum constants using the enum keyword. Enum is short for enumerations, which simply means specifically listed. So let's create an enum. So in our class here, we have an enum called months. So instead of public class months, we have public enum months. So you may choose to define them as either uppercase or lowercase. And the main reason for defining them as uppercase is because conventionally, whenever you define a variable in uppercase, it means conventionally it means that it is a final or it is a constant. So let's redefine them as uppercase January. For the months, so this public enum months, and it's going to contain the 12 months of the year: January, February, March, and you remember you have to separate them with commas. They are comma separated values of constants. June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Very good. So we have our enums, or specifically listed values of months from January all the way to December. As we have said in the introductory statement, you use enums whenever you know that the values are not going to change. In this case, we do not expect at any point of our program to have any more months than the 12 months of the year. We expect that always the first month is going to be January and that the last month is going to be December. So that's why we use enums, because we do not expect them to change. Enums are by default constant and you cannot change them. You only use them to access them. To declare them, you use the keyword enum followed by the name of the enumerated values that you would like to define. How do you access enums? Let's find out. Accessing. Access enums. How you access enums is very, very simple. So for instance, I will create a value, a variable, let's say the first month. So I'm going to say string first month equals to months, which is the name of the enum, months dot January. So it is the enum name dot the value that I want to print out. Yeah, so I had to concatenate with an empty string just to make sure that they are of compatible types, and I can then print out. This value. For instance, we can now print out first month. So let's run the program. Very good, and it prints out the first month, which is January. Let's find out how you can be able to use loops through enums, just for arrays. Very, very simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a for each loop. Remember its syntax, but you can refresh your memory through this. So we're going to define a string month, which is going to hold each of the values of the enum in months dot values. So remember, whenever you get the value months dot values is always going to give you the is always going to give you all the values in that enum. So instead of string month, I think we should be having month because that is the type. It was a small error. So let's say we can print this out. Let's copy this and paste here. So instead of printing the first month, let's print out the month. So what's going to happen is that the for each loop is going to go through months.values and find out that we have 12 values that are the months from January all the way to December. And for each loop is going to assign the value to this variable month and then print it out. So let's run. Very good. So we have all the months of the calendar printed out from January all the way to December. So key takeaways from this lesson: enums. When do you use enums? You use enums whenever you know that the values are not going to change, and whenever you want to represent constants. So an enum is just like a class, but we define them using the enum keyword. The only difference is that the enum constants are public, static, and final, meaning that they are unchangeable and cannot be overridden. An enum can also not be used to create objects, and it can also not extend other classes, but it can implement interfaces. When do we use enums? Whenever we know that our values are not going to change. For instance, month, days, colors, and so on and so forth. So thank you for staying on course. Keep learning. See you in the next lesson.